You get to see people that you mix with. You might not know somebody, but these might be your music cousins.
Who are you?
I'm Rashid. I am the youngest of 6 kids from North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
I am an uncle, a grandkid, a friend of many, a lover of music. I think we know that. A writer, a creative. I think that pretty much encompasses who I am.
Okay, Rashid from the Carolinas. Tell us about how you got started with Sunday Sessions.
Yeah, the origin of Sunday Sessions started as a little brainstorm in the middle of like an event space. Mm-hmm. So like one night, our friend Cole, who also does, it's like a house DJ and like sound engineer now, was doing a beat show at Dorian's. And it was a couple of us, a bunch of his friends are in the audience or whatnot at this beat show. And Dan, I don't know if you know our partner Dan, but Dan almost had like a huddle of a couple people, and he was just like, called me over. Yo, I got an idea. Like, what if we play music for each other on Sundays? And before he got everything out, I was like, yo, I'm in. Like, whatever that is, I'm in. So that maybe the following weekend, we all met up at Dan's place. It might have been like 9 of us. And at this time, like the concept was a little different. It was like we did bracket style competition, like my song versus your song.
Oh, I like it.
And then it was fun. I made it to the finals, so it was fun for me. I don't know if it was fun for people that lost early. But that's how it started. I started a small group like that, and then we did the next Sunday Sessions at my place, which was like the week after that one, and I just invited more people, and then from there we just like, let's keep this thing going every other Sunday. And over time, like the crowd went from 9 people to about 20, 30 people in our living rooms. And so that's how it started. It started out in each of our living rooms, and like my living room, Dan's living room, CQ's living room, and then some other friends who wanted to get involved. Somebody was like, hey, I hosted at my place, and then we shipped it to their place. So it was more like a housewarming kind of kickback vibe. That's how it started, and it's been great. Just growing community and meeting new people in that way. And it got to a point where we were just like, yo, this is getting too big. Let's you get people that hit you up like, yo, what are y'all doing? What is this? So from there it's like, all right, let's see if we can get a bigger space and get as much music lover as we can in a room that in a place where we can still maintain that level of intimacy. Mm-hmm. And storytelling that we had at our old living rooms.
I like that. Maintain the same level of intimacy.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing.
How long ago did you guys start?
So it was last March.
Last March. Oh, so
yeah.
It's really been a year. Okay.
It's really been a year. No, that post wasn't a lot. It was really a year when so that session I'm telling you about, where it was 9 people at Dan's place, that's literally March of last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in time. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so how many of you are there? How many of your founders?
Our founders, it's been the way it started, like the founder group, the way we first treated it was everybody that came to the first sessions.
Okay.
Right, and then from there it was like, okay, how many of us actually want to be involved in like the commercial part of it all? Like, making it bigger now. Now it's a bit more responsibility versus like you coming to my house and I'm ordering food and you bringing
you're not just
doing BYOB. Like, right, exactly. Like it's it's now a somewhat of a thing. It's a production, and we got to make sure we got sound, and we got to make sure everybody's comfortable. We got to make sure, there's enough snacks, and we got to make sure there's enough water, there's food. It's an event. So at that point, it becomes somewhat of a job at that point. So right now, it's a core team of 4 or 5 of us now.
Okay.
And we just split up responsibilities and do what we have to do to execute.
Who does that involve? 4 or 5?
4 or 5 of us. We have myself, of course.
Okay.
It got Dan, Clarence, Unitive, Cole, who does much about music stuff. I should probably tell you a little bit more about each of these guys, but and then Christopher. So that's the 4 or 5 best.
Okay. I think I've met 3 out of the 5.
You met 3 out of the 5?
Yeah, I think I've got 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's dope. I personally, just coming, I think that you guys have done a great job at maintaining what I picture to be the type of intimacy that you're hoping to maintain.
Yeah, thank you.
But we'll get into that. So I know at Sunday sessions, you guys have this thing that I've seen repeatedly from the 3 that I've been to, of like having people come and explain why they chose their song, right? So why is that important to the process?
Yeah, it's important because that always was an element of Sunday sessions, right? Like, it was, the foundation of it was that we hoped that that we would hear new music, right? And then from there, it's like, oh, this song was made from this place, and this is the reason why I like it, and it, fits this particular thing because of this feeling. And what has naturally happened over time is like these stories have gotten deeper and deeper, or funnier and funnier, or like just got more loose, right? So they just taking on a life in and of its own. But the core of it is like finding new connections to music and finding new connections with each other, right? I've heard some pretty touching stories for songs that like now it changes my relationship to that song, and now it changes my relationship to that person. And from that, music is boundless in that, right? Like, music is the greatest connector that we have on this planet, right? And so once you get a little deeper into a person's mind and psyche and chemistry, when it comes to music, you draw a closer connection to each other, and you draw a closer connection to the music. It's the most amazing thing about it is community is just built around that.
For sure. I love the shift in perspective there, though. The like, you hearing somebody else tell their story, and you're kind of like, oh, I've never looked at this song like that. I wouldn't have ever thought about that. Yeah. I think it was the last session. One of the guys was saying that a song that he did really like amplified like brotherhood for him. And I would have never seen that in a song.
Blame.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's quite surprising. When I was at there was one session, it was cuffing season. You came to that one. Yeah, you came to that one. Do you remember there was a woman, she came to our very first Sunday sessions, and she came to this one, and it was a cuffing season thing. So you're expecting to hear certain songs, you're expecting certain level of stories, but for her, the song that she picked, it was she called her daughter up. She brought her daughter with her to the event.
Oh yeah.
And that song that she picked was like, this song reminds me of my daughter and, our story together. And, it just changed my mind completely. It was one of the most beautiful moments. Another great story was this Brazilian girl. She was telling a story about the Stevie Wonder song. And she was saying that her father loved the song way before he even knew what the lyrics were, because he speaks Portuguese. But it was a song, the vibe is a vibe. So and coincidentally, Isn't She Lovely?
Oh.
Right? So like, how awesome is this song that this guy used to sing to his daughter is the perfect song to sing to your daughter.
Yeah.
There's a certain vibration that Stevie captured
I
And
mean, if you hear that, like, you're gonna be somewhere humming. You know,
you should.
like, I see. Okay, that's dope. I love that though. I love the like. I know that I've been there and I felt the vibe and I like the vibe. Like,
Yeah.
that's giving here.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, I guess like you're trying to convey the same type of intimacy that you would have like in the small, or in your words, living room vibes, right? But what is that feeling? What are you trying to translate to?
Yeah, there's a certain level of comfort and vulnerability and connection that you feel when you're just sitting in somebody's living room. So like we want that feeling,
Yeah.
right? Even the way we come dressed, right? Like you come like you're going to a friend's kickback at their home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's first it's that feeling, right? Like we want, everybody loves music, but like the spaces and places that we go to enjoy music, we don't want you to just be limited to going to the club just to hear music. You want to leave your house and listen to music, right? Or like go to a bar, you know? So this is a place where we want it to feel comfortable. We want you to feel at home. We want you to feel like, you're at a kickback and you can connect, you know, you can let your hair down, you can let your walls down. And it's funny because we didn't put out what a dress code is. We didn't put out.
Everybody's got caught the vibe.
Everybody just understands like, oh, this is a comfortable space. Just a comfortable place. Like you leave your ego at home. You know, you're in the club. You've been in the club before. You know, there's something about like sitting in a section and like you might got a little ego about you. You might got a little chip on your shoulder. You might not talk to somebody the way you would.
It's very like you gotta put on.
Yeah, right. Right. So like our space, we want that to be the opposite of that. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel like you can relax. We want you to feel like you can exhale, you know?
What do you feel like that brings to the community?
It brings a sense of openness amongst each other. Like it's been amazing to see some people come in and leave with new friends. You know, that there's something to that. I like the thing that we do where we ask people where they're from. You know, like you get the Detroit people saying what up. You get the people from North Carolina, if there aren't people from North Carolina. You get the people from Jersey saying what's up. You get the South Siders. You know, they represent for each other. The West Siders. There was another interesting thing that happened at one event. This one girl was like, "I'm from here, but I lived in Atlanta," and somebody was else. That's my story too. And they had their moment. You know what I mean? They didn't know each other prior to that, but they had their moment. There's that happens. Is sometimes people like put in the same song and they come up. You know, there's a new chemistry and connection there. So it's that for us. And like we want people to feel like they can connect and, you know, have an open place to feel comfortable.
I love that. I think with what I'm gonna call the death of the club scene.
Oh wow!
Definitely a great space to see. And I won't say like just in general it's gonna just straight up die, but I feel like there has been a very strong decline in people, especially under the age of like 35, like wanting to be in a clubby scene. Like we're over the elitist complex.
Yeah.
You know, and so I agree. Like I feel like this is a great, perfect homie like vibe. And I remember like my first time I was like immediately like I was like, oh, my friends are coming with me next time. I was like, what? Because this is the vibe. This is what it's like. We just want to kick it. We just want to chill. Like everybody was, you know, cool and vibing. So.
And I think COVID changed a lot of that for us.
Yeah.
You know, like before COVID, a lot of us were, I don't know what it was, but it was something that happened in COVID where we just all grew up.
I think we just have really
priorities changed, and we all got our houses feeling like we wanted to feel, and it's just like what's outside anymore.
Yeah, kind of outside.
And even down to like, how do you connect with people now?
Yeah,
like COVID changed how we connect with each other, and you know, just imagine, you know, not being in social settings with people for a while and then being told to not be around people for a while, and then you're like, okay, cool, be around people now. It's just like, there's a level of anxiety. Like, how do I talk to somebody? Like, the old me, the me from 2-3 years ago. So it's like, right. So it's like, now we have to rethink the settings in which people mix now. And I think part of what makes this so special is because it's that feeling.
Yeah. And I think when you're isolated like that and you're only hanging out with like certain groups of people, your groups are very intimate. So you kind of like, coming out of the pandemic, you're craving social spaces, but you're still craving that same level of intimacy.
Yeah. I could dig that. Yeah.
Okay. So with this group, or with this event, I should say, who's your target audience?
Great question. For us, when we talk about this, and it's always been about music lovers.
Okay. Just straight up music.
It's always been about music lovers, and like, and Dan has this thing that he likes to say, he got this thing from Virgil where it was like purist and tourist, right? And that's how Virgil like kind of viewed the world. So the purest of people that are like really deep into the art of it, right? And then you have your tourist who is just like, oh, I'm just a fly on the wall, I'm just breezing through, that kind of thing, like laissez-faire to a degree when it comes to consuming whatever art it is. So a big part is that, and another part is people who are just looking for a different way to connect with music that's not in a certain place, not in a certain setting. So that's how we view and that's how we build. It's been growing in a very interesting way because it's been such a safe place for a lot of people, and that's something that we have to like cherish and hold close and build in that direction.
Yeah, I see that. Definitely see it being a safe space. So when people leave Sunday sessions, like after everything is all said and done, you've had your vibes, met your people, you've made new friends, doing things like that. What do you want people to leave Sunday sessions feeling?
Refreshed. Refreshed. Relaxed, loose, joy, relaxed, other than feel cozy. You know what I mean? There's something to like the feeling of homecoming, the feeling of Thanksgiving. So it's that kind of feeling. Like when you leave, you get to see people that you mix with. You might not know somebody, but these might be your music cousins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you come, you know what I mean? And it's like it's that feeling of warmth and comfort.
Yeah.
And music has the magic to do that, regardless of where you come from. Like that, it's one of those most beautiful things that just transcends like who we are. Just look at what Beyonce's doing right now. You know what I mean? And it's. And then some people are like, why is she doing country? And then now we have the storytell of country started with Black musicians.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, like music just brings about this new community, and you can charter communities through music in history to a very powerful degree.
I agree. I think when you say warmth and cozy, relaxed, it makes me feel like the morning after you just left a dope sleepover. When you were a kid and you're like, man, like, you go home, you're skipping in the car, your mom's like, did you have fun? You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like, or like, when all the cousins are asleep every which way on a chair, whatever, couch hanging upside down. But you're good.
Yeah.
You're like,
And it's something that you talk about for a while. And it's part of
the pictures when you're old, like, look at us.
Exactly. And I mean, and that's something that we're talking about now is like a part of that feeling is it's almost like a family reunion type thing. Like I went to an HBCU homecoming, just feels so fucking magical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's something to it being scarce that holds that power of it meaning so much because it only happens once in a while. So like for us, we're trying to figure out what does that look like? Right now it's only once a month, and it's just like, do we do it twice a month? Like, will that diminish some of the feeling for it? If it's too frequent.
Too often, yeah.
Yeah. It's but we also understand like we do have some real constraints, right? Like we want to max it at 75 people. We sell out. There's a lot more people that want to come. Unfortunately, we have to turn some people away in order to maintain that level of intimacy. But it's like, all right, cool. Should it be more frequent so more people can join the community? So it's a
I can see the dilemma.
it's a dilemma because
You don't want something you can get too much, because then it starts to become like, I don't know. I know for me, I really had to DM y'all like, what is the next? I said, excuse me, like what's happening?
yeah, we're gonna get better at communicating that, like as we build out a website and we build out like a calendar just to let you know like when dates are.
But it's good because you want that anticipation. Because I know like I missed the Sunday sessions and we were so upset because I was in town. I was like, I have to go to the next one, I have to go to the next one. And then you did the next one on like the exact day that I was leaving. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
It's so crazy when people hit me up. I get that a lot. Like, some people will hit me up like, when's the next one? And I'll say, April 14th. Right. And then, so, man, that's when I'm out of town. Move the date. Yeah. And then they'll be like, when's the next one? May's up. I'm out of town. They get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
But I feel like that's how you kind of keep that. I mean, I'm not going to play a foot off how you write business, but vibes.
You are strategist? You want to be a chief strategy officer?
Listen, I do my business. So.
I do my business.
Okay, I'm vibing. I mean, I like what you guys have going on, like the message that you send. I think one question that I do want to ask is like, do you feel like this type of intimacy, this type of community, that specific special vibe is something that's special to the Black community and music?
Cool. It's very interesting. I haven't thought about that. I know the way we connect with music is different.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I think Chicago brings about a very interesting dynamic to it all. Like just understanding Chicago's history, just understanding spaces for us to even like have.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I think Chicago has a long way to go in like making Black people feel very inclusive in so many different spaces and experiences. So I think there's a really interesting thing that is Chicago in which this is happening first.
Okay.
I don't know what it'll look like if it was somewhere else, but I think that's part of the magic of Chicago as well. But yeah, I mean, I think we respond to music in so many different ways. I think we create music in different ways. But do I think, we're the only ones that love music?
No.
Do I think we're the only ones that have stories based on music? No. And I think there's something magical that we've seen hip hop do over time as far as like race relations and just, building new communities and new sympathies towards people, right? Like just looking at suburban kids listening to NWA, like that had no place to actually happen. You know what I mean? Like Jay-Z has a beautiful quote. It was just like, it's hard for you to tell your kid to be racist when they love Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? So it's like music has done like such powerful things in connecting people. So it's hard. It's really hard to say because a lot of my favorite musicians are Black people. Mm-hmm. And it's like our vibration and our connection to the music is powerful. And I think you see that in the way we receive it, when you see that in the way we dance and the way we sing,
For sure.
So like there's something magical in that. And I think Chicago brings about a very interesting dynamic to it because it's very few places that we have to experience music.
Yeah. I think that question comes from a space of like me being an observer and just kind of like watching like, who am I seeing in these spaces? What is the music we're hearing the most? And like, how are we relating in this space? And so that question was kind of born out of like, is the type of intimacy that's happening in here like something that's specific to us, or is this something that's specific to music?
Yeah.
Not well, us and music, but
Yeah.
shouldn't say. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
I
think there's something to it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Going forward, how do you see Sunday sessions growing, or do you want it to grow?
Yeah, I mean, we are in conversations now. I think when it comes to strategy, there's a lot of different ways you can actually go. So it's like there's a lot of conversation about what does it look like.
Yeah.
We definitely will love that keeping Chicago home base. Does it look like multiple events in a month? Does it look like when we go to Detroit and we go other places?
Sunday sessions on tour.
You know, it's interesting because like if you look at the founding group CQ, he's from Africa and spent some time in Canada. So like his network is really vast. You know, Dan is from Jersey. I'm from North Carolina, you know, so you have communities and pockets in which we're from that's like, yo, what is this? Bring it here. What you doing? What you doing it there? Yeah. So there's some heart to, you know, see what it feels like in other places. Right now, the thing that I love that we're doing is that we're looking looking at collaboration, you know, with other organizations to see if we can bring about a new feeling, a new vibe to it. Also, the most recent one we did with Black Film Club was a 2-part series all around Love Jones.
Yeah, I love that.
So their event is very similar to ours in the sense of Love Jones. They show films and then they tell stories. They talk about the plot and the meaning and all of these things, characters, all of that, right? And we complement each other because we do the same thing, but with music. So it's really interesting to make those connections. I'm talking to someone else, they do the very same thing, but with art. So it's like, okay, how can we explore what stories look like and with different mediums, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. I'd love to see it. Don't let me be in Atlanta and then like Sunday sessions Atlanta. And I'd be like, oh, snap.
That could probably happen.
Like the whole city.
That could probably happen.
Oh, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. Okay. So when it comes down to it, like, I know that there are 5 of you. Is there anything that you want the people to know just as a group, like about Sunday sessions?
I want people to know that it's a unique music experience. We prioritize intimacy. We prioritize storytelling. We prioritize, you know, putting music lovers in a room in a comfortable way for them to enjoy music and enjoy each other, and to also connect with DJs. You know, that's a huge element of what we do. Now, if you ever go out in Chicago, you go to like the major spots, you see the same DJs.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. A lot of these men and women are fantastic. But there's a lot of DJs that don't get those same opportunities that are amazing at putting vibes together. And we have a platform to do that. So like that's one of the most amazing things that, you know, we've been able to capture is like that vibe from DJs, which is a very important element to music. It's a very important element to hip hop.
It's very rooted, very rooted for us DJs for sure. I like that. I will say I've met like 2 of my favorite DJs in the city that I follow at Sunday sessions.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
I was like, do you see? I love DJs. So like anywhere that I am, I'm gonna be like, what should do that?
That's fire.
So like, yeah.
And I love that because what happens now is like they get new fans, right? And then wherever they're DJing, people pull up to it.
Yeah.
And then that exposes them to new music vibes, because some of them they are active. It's just that they may DJ somewhere and the crowd may not be 500 people
be over there. Yeah.
Right. It may be what you're looking for. It may be like 30, 40, 50 people in a place that serve amazing cocktails, and like, this is the vibe that I've been missing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's super interesting. Like when you follow the DJs, they kind of have the light to show you where certain vibes
what's going on, what's happening. I think it's a great way too to just like, if you're new to a city like I was, like new to Chicago, it's a good way for you to like figure out where you want to be and like what vibes, you know, what suits you. I kind of just started exploring the city by following the DJs. So yeah, I respect it.
Yeah.
I think those are the questions that I have. Do you have anything you want to say or anything you want to know?
Oh,
No? Okay.
thank you, though.
Yeah, of course. We just want to highlight Black people doing dope shit.
That's fly.
You know, that's our whole thing. Like, I just love when I'm seeing people and I'm like, yeah, I like the vibes, I like what you're doing. Let me talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Some questions. Turn this thing back on again.
Oh, you want to ask me some questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you should sit down too. I want to ask you some questions. Would it be a good thing?
When did you fall in love with hip hop?
Ooh.
Sorry, my hands full of shit.